and then we'll let him in since it's time. Ready? All right.
Oh, 3 people.
3. Hello, hello. Hello, hello, and welcome. Looks like
Hello.
everybody's got their audio synced up. Cool, Felix.
And I think it's full house.
Full house.
Jenny also joined.
Can you hear me, by the way?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Hello, Thomas.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Finished everything just on time.
That's
Amazing.
perfect.
Yeah, it was
Hello,
close,
can you hear me?
but it was good.
Yeah, we can hear
Yes.
you, Jennifer.
Hello. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
Jenny. Nice to hear
Awesome. I've been trying to fix my audio for the longest time. I've been here for like 35 minutes.
But you managed directly on time.
I made it.
Amazing.
Thanks for the invite.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, so we're gonna we think likely have most everybody in the call who is planning to come. Let's see, let me just double check this
Yeah,
invite.
everyone is
Yeah,
here.
everyone's here. So let's just rock on. Do you want to do the introduction, Jenny, or do you want, or Lou, do you want me to?
You can. I can see that
All
you're
right.
excited to start.
All right. Yeah. Chomping at the bit over here. All right, y'all. Welcome to the first adoption working group workshop. This is entitled Creator Strategies. We have provided 4 questions to go over during this call. And but we want to do a round of introductions at the beginning here to get to know each other a little bit, maybe find out a little bit why we are creators in this space, or builders, or whatever you want to call your art form, and why you're here. So yeah, looking for a little introduction and motivation from everybody. And yeah, who wants to kick it off?
Maybe you can start when you started.
All right,
talking.
perfect. I can start. Yeah. So my name is Peter Wolcott. I'm a Project Catalyst decentralized worker. I'm also a milestone reviewer in that process. I've been following and tracking Project Catalyst since Fund 5, and yeah, super interested in innovation funds, and as it's a new method by which we can allocate capital to cool things and do research. I love this push IG's had recently for decentralized science, and so very interested in these types of things. And yeah, that's me.
Maybe I can continue.
Cool.
So my name is Linda, or Lou. I work with Coda.team, so an NFT marketplace, and I work with creators pretty much a lot. Also, Thomas is here. He's a very good artist, but yeah, I will leave introduction to him. So yeah, I work with creators a lot. I'm also partially creator because I write a lot of articles. I focus on social media and other things. So I've been creating a lot of stuff in the recent few years, and yeah, I'm also Polkadot ambassador and working on some other projects. But yeah, today I'm mainly here to chat about this Web3 adoption. So someone can continue.
I can take over maybe. Hello, I am Jeeper. I am working in OpenGo.watch. We are basically monitoring Polkadot governance, writing monthly governance reports, quarterly treasury reports, and also trying to help different governance initiatives to take form, or teams outside the ecosystem to engage with open governance and basically things like that. Yeah. I can go. My name is Jenny. Nice meeting you, and thanks for the invite. I've been
part of the Cardano community for quite some time. I am involved in different aspects of Cardano. I have been hosting a Twitter space for the past 3 years, helping the community connect and shed some light on creators and people building. I've been also serving in Project Catalyst as a moderator as well and a reviewer, and I am a Cardano ambassador for the Cardano Foundation, and I'm also part of a governors parameters working group for Intersect, which is the member-based organization right now currently facilitating the Voltaire era, which is our governance structure that we're building for decentralized governance. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Okay, then I go on when I find the unmute button. So I'm Thomas. Hi, nice to meet you guys. Since I started in September 21 with art, I discovered their AI, and I did AI for I think 1.5 years, something like this. It was during the huge bull run, so this was it was really a good start into the scene. Let's say it like this. And yeah, since around 1 year or maybe a little bit more, I started with generative art and really discovered a passion for it. And also a few weeks ago, I met with Lou and also released my first collection on Codadot. Therefore, I mean, and also in addition to this, I also helped Nalu onboarding some generative artists to the platform. That's really a nice addition to my normal, let's say, job. I mean, I have a 9-to-5 job and a kid and a wife, so I'm quite busy then overall. But yeah, I think that's it. And I read the question in the invitation, and I'm really curious about all the answers because I have a clear opinion on this. So I'm quite happy to hear and great to join. Thanks.
Awesome to hear. Awesome. Yeah, Paul or Felix?
Hey, this is Paul here. Happy to be here. I've had a long career in software development, architecture, engineering before Web3 kind of came along and became popular. So for me, that's my interest as a creator in the space is making software. I think both in the Cardano side, the Cosmos side as well. And I think have become quite interested in cross-chain bridges, what it takes to really kind of take the next step towards interoperability. So yeah, that's kind of what brings me here. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. I'm Felix. I'm a sort of Cardano community agent, sort of. Yeah, I've been engaged in Cardano since full-time 2021, and since then doing a lot in governance, infrastructure things and stuff, and learning about a bunch of other beautiful projects, ecosystems around. And that's why I'm here, to learn good stuff.
Awesome. Thank you all for giving us some introductions. I feel like I know more about half of you. It's awesome to meet new people. All right. So, we have 4 questions, and I put in here maybe approximately 10 minutes on each question, but we're gonna go with the flow here. We're not gonna try and swim up current or create too much structure. Sometimes my brain goes there. Must resist. So yeah, the first question is, what are the differences between being a creator and being a creator in Web3? Now, anybody have off the bat have an answer ready to go?
Feels like in school, but
sorry, you're like make sure not to feel it, so make it sound like you're in school, and then I did it. Damn it.
So
yeah, I have an answer. Do you have one, Lou? I'm gonna start.
you can
I
start
also
with
have one.
You can start with maybe yours, and we will just tell our opinions and join with ours.
All right. Well, I'm gonna let Thomas go, actually. because I have
Okay.
one, but
Yeah, I
since I'm
can start. I mean,
yeah.
to be fair, I was never a creator in Web 2, but still, I think the huge difference is you can reach a huge audience from home. But on the other side, the competition is huge. I mean, in the space, I mean, for now, the way to go, let's say, to promote your work is mainly Twitter, unfortunately, or X, let's call it like you will. And I mean, you have, if you're active, of course, and you network a lot, your reach is huge. I mean, you can reach so many people with your art. You can reach so many collectors. And of course, the taste of people is different. And therefore, I always say for every artwork, there is the matching collector. You just need to find it. I mean, art is objective if you like it or not, and I think there is a great chance in Web3 to reach the right collector. I mean, I think it's easier than in the Web2 space, because what can you do? You can expose your work in a local gallery or something like this, or you are famous, but then you anyway sell your name. So if it doesn't matter what your art look like. I mean, of course it does matter, but if Picasso draws a pencil stroke, it's worth much more than if I draw a pencil stroke. And therefore, I think this is a huge advantage. But also, yeah, the competition is bigger. You have to stand out more, I guess. And therefore, yeah, it's really a positive but hard way to yeah, to be a creator in Web3, I think. And sorry for my English. I try my best.
Oh, you're good, dude.
You're doing perfect. That's part of Web3. We all come from different places, right?
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
like,
That's also a nice thing. I mean, you can connect all over the world just in a call or something like this. That's really nice. I really like this.
Well, Steph.
Maybe I can continue. So before joining Web3, I was a researcher in a university. And the main differences for me is that you can actually get paid in Web3. So because in the university, you just basically work for free. And yeah, that's
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
so
also fine.
that makes sense.
Yeah, for me, for example, I was like thinking like maybe what are the biggest differences or maybe what is the biggest benefit. And I think in Web3, it gives you so many like different benefits of, like the maybe like the security, the ownership, because like if we have a blockchains and these things, you can always connect the art with the artists and these things. So there are a lot of benefits, and I think with traditional art, it's well, the differences also can be like you have two different. I still see it as a two very different groups. And if you, for example, are Web3 creator, you have very different also like the audience, and with traditional art it's also like different audience. And this is also like maybe a thing to like a question we can discuss about, like if those two audiences are also like interconnected, because like it's yeah, it's like different. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, the audience are weirdly interconnected. That kind of ties into my point, is that it is in what you were saying, Thomas. It's like most of Web3, at least hype cycle, is on X, which is a Web2 product. But there are Web3 products, which like Polkadot has a whole set of Web3 social media. Cardano does as well, but it's still Cardano's acts like Web2 still. They have Web2 logins and stuff. Anyway, and so yeah, my point was that there seems to be you get more options in Web3 in terms of where you put your stuff. This adds to the complexity of kind of building your brand and 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 pushing it out to your audience. Now you're, instead of having a local audience and maybe having a shop in a town, yeah, now you have end up with a shop in a blockchain ecosystem or next to some project. So the network power with well, the network, the Web2 networks, the corporate networks that like X, like Facebook, like all all those they have a lot of network power that's been accumulated, and so there's lots of people spending time on those platforms. But the people spending time on the new Web3 platform sometimes are more intentional about investing in the people on those platforms. So you can maybe it's easier to find and sell art because the people who are coming into these ecosystems are interested in buying that art or interested in learning about the software that's being designed in these spaces, because in different types of creators, not everyone makes like art to sell. Some people are making educational art, some people are making etc. Yeah,
I can pitch in.
sweet.
I think that what my experience, the way I see it is that as a creator, I mean, the word itself, you're here to create, and I think Web3 makes it a lot easier for many reasons, but particularly because of, abstracting these complexities and this, hard to, access um tools that are needed. For example, you don't need a merchant account, e-commerce and things like that that are not accessible to everybody. And a lot of gatekeeping is taken out of the way. If you talk about art, I mean, I have my experience. I mean, I've been collecting art on Web3 like a crazy person, which I've never done, and I've been like in the internet since its inception, and I've never really collected art for over 20 years
Same,
until
by
I
the way.
started,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, this has changed the lives of people all over the world. So, and this is just art. Now we talk about like creators as creators in general. I mean, my experience, for example, with Cardano, with Project Catalyst, I mean, it has been surreal the way that we collaborate across, nations and have one idea and then have all the tools put together and be able to make it happen because we have now this like with this financial layer that permits this, even though we use Web2 tools to communicate and do things. This extra layer allows for us to really seal the deal and take this collaborations further and be able to support one another without, an intermediary. So that's what I can pitch in on that.
Thank you, Jenny. Doo-doo-doo.
If Paul or Felix doesn't want to chip in, it's okay. You don't feel pressured. Don't feel, guys, by the way,
Sure.
pressured to answer
Yeah.
all the questions or.
Yeah, I can offer something here. I guess being that the space is quite emergent still, there is opportunity, a lot of opportunity, obviously, to define what we the tooling for producing, or I might say everyone participating in the production of creative works. It clearly, kind of echoing what people have said, it's great that creators and participants in the creative process can get compensated. There's a lot of different and interesting things we can do with that. But I think also it's important to build layers on top of that are interesting for people. Let's say application layers on top of that are interesting for creatives. I think, like Thomas said, he's really interested in generative art, and there's a lot that goes into that. Some belongs on chain, and some does not belong on chain necessarily, or perhaps not on, say, main chains like that might have prohibitive transaction costs and such. So I think as much as it's an opportunity to scope that stuff out, it's also a challenge because it's not well defined yet. And so kind of coming together to figure that stuff out as groups is not easy work, but it's important work. So
Yeah, thanks for that, Paul. That was good.
Agree.
Yeah, Felix put a cool video by the Patreon founder from South by Southwest in middle March in the chat.
We can check
Seems
it later.
check
Not
that out later, and yeah, put that in the notes as well.
From all experience, I would say one thing where Web3 really challenges, it's like it really redefines how we define worth and value, right? Okay, you can give something a price, but which value do we want to give it? And like we define a whole new ecosystem of value actually, right? Where we define, okay, how do we actually, what is price for us? What is value for us in
Yeah.
this regard? That's
we are giving the
quite true.
value, so
Yeah, and I think this in the web space is not so much given, right? Very much the value is imposed on you and you have to deal with it. While in Web3 space, it's your free tool, it's your asset, right? You can play around with whatever you want very often. Even in fucking currency on which chain, I mean, it's insane.
That's true. The incentives for creating on Web3 products are still undefined versus a Web2 product. You know, you have to, if you're going to post videos on YouTube, you gotta put a weird thumbnail on there that makes it look like clickbait, stuff like that. I've seen creators complain about that. Like they get flack from their Web3 community being like, dude, your thumbnails are horrible. I don't even want to watch them, but I like your content. And it's like, I have to. It's either get 200 views and put a thumbnail that you will like, or put a thumbnail that the algorithm likes and get 2,000 thousands of views. Yeah, it's a tough one. So yeah, the Web2 incentives are very much in place. So there are gatekeepers, barriers to entry, censorship even. And yeah, that's cool. Anybody else have anything to add on this question? I feel like we spent the perfect, like the amount of time on it. It's good. Yeah.
maybe let's move to the next question.
Moving on. This is a good one. I feel like yeah, what did you struggle with most when entering uh, the ecosystem? Yeah, so I can dive in with mine. I struggled to narrow my focus down and to choose what to learn about. And so at the beginning, I tried to stay pretty fundamental in terms of, all right, what's the architecture, understand how the blockchain works, etc. But then over time, I just got more and more chaotic in terms of like how I determined which direction I was learning. And that might be okay to become more chaotic over time. I think another thing that I had when I first joined was I just had like a document where I would just like I just put a bunch of links. So I was just like collecting links everywhere because navigating and understanding the connections, I don't even know where to start. It was just a massive mess of links that it was pretty much all time-based in terms of when was that? Oh yeah, so I'm using my calendar and then going back in my notes to that day and then finding the links for that day and stuff like that. So it was hard to navigate, hard to see and scope around the ecosystem. That and then find the events. Yeah. Finding events where people are well, having easy access to them instead of having to navigate to that one Discord and grab the link, where is it? And that's normal stuff. Anyway, that's mine. Happy to keep riffing though. Anybody else? What did you struggle with most while entering?
I can
continue.
jump in.
Okay, no,
maybe?
go for it.
So this is not a personal struggle for me, but I try to onboard different like NFT artists or creators to Web3 in general. And the thing that I observe on them is like, just like you said, Peter, it's like lack of documentation and like proper onboarding processes, right? Because like you cannot say, okay, you can make, so let's imagine I'm talking with an NFT artist. I cannot tell him like, you need to figure out how to issue an NFT and just sell it. It's like they need to figure out all the technical details. They need to engage with the community. It might be like very overwhelming for people that are outside of the Web3 ecosystem in general. So I think the biggest pain point is like these onboarding, proper onboarding processes and lack of documentation, mostly.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Sorry, Thomas. So yeah,
All
so
good, all good, no
I
worries.
think you will continue because you have also experience with it. But yeah, I also work with artists, and I found this like that we are still trying to figure out how to make the onboarding process easier. And sometimes it's not even about documentation. Sometimes the like if the person is not already in the maybe Web3 or ecosystem, they even have a problem with understanding where maybe they will manage to mint or like even create the art, and then they have a problem to navigate, for example, with the promotion and with the finding out the right channels, like where to sell the art, which community to join. And I think it's even in Polkadot especially hard for newcomers, because we also had like most of the artists that we have are people that already have experience, but we also had newcomers, and these people usually, I think when they start in Polkadot, it feels like they're starting on a hard level, because it's it's not that easy to. Polkadot is a bit more technical, a bit more complicated. Technology failed us many times. It's not only. It's not only on our platform, but yeah, I see this with other platforms too. So yeah, Thomas, you can
Yeah,
chip
I
in.
mean, yeah, I can add a lot to also what Jeeper said. I mean, from an artist point of view, when you start in the Web3 space, then first of all, you have no clue about arts in general, because you just started with arts because you saw something you like. And then you heard about Bitcoins and you heard about maybe Ethereum, and then you're like, okay. And then you saw like people are minting this and that, and they mint on this platform and that chain, and there is Ethereum, and then there is Polygon, and there is Tezos. But what is this exactly, and what is the difference? And then you discover, oh, there are so huge fees, and oh, on this chain there are no fees. Why is it like this? And it's so confusing, and the space in general is, I mean, there are so many difficult topics. Which community? How to price your works? Are you going for editions or one-to-ones? How to promote it? Then also the let's call it unwritten rules, like never shill on a GM tweet, because this is like for me it's an insta ban. If someone shills on my GM tweet, I block him without any saying. I mean, at the beginning I warned people, but now I'm just blocking it. That's just an unofficial rule. But if you don't know these rules, you have no chance to follow the rules. And therefore, I mean, I struggled so much at the beginning. It was ridiculous. I mean, I still struggle also with my marketing. And also the most important thing is build your own brand. This is really the most important thing. And I mean, I had like a brand when I was an AI artist, and now I also create a brand for me as generative artist. But it's still hard because, first of all, I'm not a top level coder, and I really work on my coding skills like 24/7 when I find time. And also the marketing is so time consuming, and this brand building, it's even more important. I think to sell an artwork, it's like 60 to 70% is marketing, or your brand, and like 30 to maximum 40% is the quality of an artwork. I think I'm convinced that's for sure, because you see so many great artists, or so many well-known artists. Okay, they have great art, but sometimes you see an artwork and think like, okay, they sold this for millions, they have their brand, yes, and it's fine. But it's the same it was with this rock, this Ethereum rock. I think it was MoMA, the gallery, right? Or this museum who sold it for, I don't know, 100 and something Ethereum. But it's all about the brand and the ecosystem, and there is always something behind. No one buys a rock. It's just,
Yeah,
there's
then
always a story
after
behind.
that, there were a lot of collections that were just,
Yeah.
we had in Polkadot, like someone created a collection of rocks, and it
Yeah.
was just rocks. I
And
think they
also Also, for example, there was Sam Spratt. I don't know if you know this artist. He created an artwork. It was a very famous piece. I mean, he created a whole ecosystem
How is the
around this
name?
artwork. Sam Spratt. I mean, it's like Sam Spratt, I think, something like this. And he sold it for, I don't know, it was sold for also 100 ETH or something like this. But he made this artwork, and this was all about the marketing. Marketing was on point. It was perfectly prepared. Everything was really perfect. He had good giveaways then, and benefits for collectors or bidders, and you could be part of this ecosystem he built up. So he did really a good job. I tried to find the account now, but yes, I could talk about this for hours, but I think that's it for now.
Thank you.
I can jump in and I guess I can totally relate with a lot of the things that have been said. Peter, when you were saying like, focusing to concentrate, I still feel like I do. Like I'm so overwhelmed all the time. There's so much you can do, so much to explore, right? But when I was entering, it was about, of course, what you get at first is all about this number go up, price action, and trying to find valuable information that has to do with practical. Like, what is this doing? What is this whole, Web3 about? What is this, blockchain good for me as an individual, as a person? Practical use cases. And it was really hard. You had to go through a lot of like nonsensical videos, people pumping their bags, there's like oof, hours and hours and hours of a lot of research. I also had spreadsheets of links and things. Like I was laughing because I had so many like notepads. I still have a whole YouTube list from when I started. This like blockchain, it's like and all this like very like who can like break it down to like the like the most like I'm a toddler, right? And break and start building from that point forward and eliminate the noise. So I think that that part was a little bit overwhelming, and I worked really hard to start grasping concepts. And we talk about do your own research, and I think that the biggest struggle is like where do we do a research, right? We love to say that, but where do you really go? It's very scary out there. And I had a lot of problem just like trusting things. So I was very scared all the time. I remember having the palms of my sweats, my hands will sweat when I had to do a transaction. I was like, oh my God, is this going to work? Is my money going to be gone? It's like, can I recover this later? It's my money in the wallet. No, it's in the blockchain. And those all these concepts, they were really hard at first, So yeah, that probably was it was a hard time. It was fun, but it was very overwhelming.
Definitely overwhelming.
It's kind of cool like going back to those days, you don't think about it, you kind of keep going, but then it just, it was crazy. Everything was so new. And I couldn't understand like a lot of concepts, like the concepts part, I have to understand what I'm doing. I don't understand how people can just come in here and just start YOLO, just like spending money and doing things. Like I couldn't do that, right? I was like, I need to understand what this is and what am I doing,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, digging past the noise. There's so much noise. Well, just in general on social media. But yeah, digging past the hype cycle in crypto and past the number go up people. I mean, you're a veteran, Jenny. I can't hang out in Twitter Spaces just because there's too it goes all over the place too much. I'm like, why am I here? But sometimes, uh, but super important function that in the community to have an event like yours that it becomes a touch point for good information, or at least here's somebody who is experienced, who has onboarded, got past the hype, and can help sort all of that and do it in a friendly and good time manner. That's so strong. Yeah. Anybody else? Felix, Paul?
Sure. Keeping our same order here. Even after all the years, I guess, I still kind of feel like I'm entering the space in certain ways, or at least the space is still just sort of formulating. Yeah, the doors are maybe not there yet, so we're making the doors to enter.
Right.
One big way I think for creatives, I would say might be flow in general, and I would say it can go to workflow, individual workflows, what creative people might want out of the blockchain system that would be different than Web 2. And I think that is defining those features to me still is really, people are definitely building out a lot of tools. And I think that, kind of on one hand, what I see is a lot of developers making code, making things. But what I think is always difficult in startups is understanding from people who are using these tools what it is that they want, what would make their workflow easier. So those kind of those touch points. So in as much as I think it kind of just goes back to maybe a communication or people challenges still, on an individual level, going from I would say like unconscious incompetence, any sort of learning process, right? I've been around in software engineering and long enough to you always have to learn new technologies, and so you're going from I don't know what I don't know to kind of like now I've defined the problem. I kind of know what I don't know, and as you define that out, you want to go to that effortless mastery of I'm in a flow here, and we're all working together. I'm building tools that people like and find useful. They're able to maybe make an NFT easier, whatever it comes down to. And then everybody kind of feels a little more satisfied with the situation. So that I think is still a difficulty with entering in here for me. Yeah.
Thank you. Awesome.
Felix? Felix, probably skip.
Well, one thing to add is from own experience, like a bunch of people I met through the last years, they joined as, let's say, consumers and transformed into creators of all sorts, right? It's developers or artists or engaged in governance and documentation or whatnot. I think what's quite impressive is this Web3 capacity to actually transform people, right? Most of the people I know, they come from an employee background, and now they become freelancer, they become entrepreneurs, right? They start their own thing actually. And also the maturity of the ecosystems to further support this, right? That we have now well-matured treasuries to say, hey, we can actually pay these people via our treasury systems. Go for it, submit your proposals, right? And then ending up to say, oh, cool, I funded by a community from a treasury to create content on whatever sort, right? And usually the creation landscape is insanely diverse, right? When you look on blockchain ecosystems, for example, disregard Cardano and Polkadot, for example, specifically. And there's something really interesting and the challenge for a lot of creators as well, because 10 years ago, we didn't have these treasury systems, right? And now they need to adapt to this and say, wait, how does it actually look like being a creator? Not for enterprise or company or whatnot, but for whole ecosystem. And you're paid by the treasury. It's fucking awesome. And very, very curious to see where this goes to.
Yeah, the evolution that Paul was talking about, opening new doors, creating new flows. That is what Web3 kind of unlocks. Is well, got we got artists right next to software engineer, all trying to build in the same environment, and you can create these new flows and get them all together.
Everyone needs
Awesome.
to be creative.
Yeah, yeah. This is a creative effort on the edge of technology all around. The people creating art that leverages the technology, people creating the technology.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful.
There needs to be harmony between everything.
Mhm. Awesome. All right, so we got about 20 minutes left in the call. Well, we have two more questions. Um, so yeah, the last question was, what did you struggle with most while entering? And the next question is, what should change to make better space? What what makes the space, what could make the space better? If we entered it, we've talked about how we entered the ecosystem and some of the struggles. What what should change to make, what could change to make it better? Yeah.
Yeah, I think each person or maybe each like group of creators have something different that they may find more useful than others. But yeah, for me, maybe I can start with some of my points. I was my main points were maybe being more user friendly. So when someone comes to new platform or when someone is interested, is if it's like writer or maybe some artist or some other kind of creator, things needs to go very smoothly and they need to go easily. So for example, Jeeper was talking a bit before about documentation and these things, but for example, for me, I perceive it that maybe pages need to be to that level intuitive that people don't even need to read documentation. So I think this is something as a maybe goal that isn't that close because there is still some basic education you need to know about the ecosystem you're entering. But I can imagine it, for example, if things went that easily that you don't even need to read to documentation. You will just decide, yeah, I want to sell this art. You will go to platform. You will just put it there. For example, like even the processes with onboarding, everything will be just smoothly, and even finding the after process where Thomas was talking about, like marketing and these things. Also, these things would be easier for person to find, and yeah, maybe also helping with decision process of people. You know, it's also if we have a lot of options, it's harder to choose. But it shouldn't be maybe that hard to be selective, you know, and be able to select you something you want. And yeah, and I have like some small things, for example, like in web3, like everything is paid with crypto, and these things can be very confusing, what is on which chain. And even me, after, well, I'm not the technical person, I'm not like extra skilled, but even with my experience of a few years, I have struggled with sometimes like not understanding. I can understand, but you know, like moving funds and things like that. Even like Thomas was recently helping me to to understand something where which chain should I use somewhere else. And these small things, I think, make it more complicated, because even person who is skilled with the ecosystem, and I have like experience with so many things in Polkadot, I can understand some harder things. I can struggle on basic things as moving my funds, you know. Um, and also there is a lot of scams in the connected with Web3, and it's not that easy to first identify them. And this is something that makes the process, I think, even harder, because when someone comes and has a bad experience, usually they tend to, you know, just turn back on this and go away. So yeah, those are my points. Like maybe make the scams, you know, like the scams are always getting smarter, but we need to build also on preventing this, on, you know, like giving proper education. And yeah, uh, so yeah, that's my bits.
I can continue maybe because I also wanted to talk about scams. I mean, the space is really getting more dangerous every day. I mean, I hear from so many people. I read almost daily. "Ah, fuck, my wallet got drained. My wallet got drained." I mean, I have my ledger, and 90% of my funds are on my ledger, and I don't touch them. But still, also very experienced people in Web3. I know very experienced people. Just a friend of me a few weeks ago, he said, yeah, he connected his wallet to a super rare site, to the super rare site. He got the link, and it everything looked legit. I mean, the scams are getting better and better. He didn't pay a lot of attention, connected his wallet, and boom, 15 ETH gone. So it's really, this is really the and also as a newcomer, I mean, now you pay attention to it. I mean, on X, I mean, it gotten a lot less, but a year ago or something, I got so many messages from scams. I mean, you immediately know that they are scams, but so many messages. I also get a lot of emails from different platforms. I mean, number one example is OpenSea. I get so many. I mean, I'm not using OpenSea since a year or something like this, or even longer, and I still got mails like you sold an artwork, or I don't know. And if people are really desperate and they really are looking for the sale, because there are a lot of artists struggling. I mean, same for me. It's not easy to sell an artwork nowadays compared to 2 years ago. And when they really feel what's best to scam the people, and if you then send emails like, yeah, you sold your artwork, and then people are, I don't know, enthusiastic and click the link and don't pay attention, and bam, too late, money gone. So therefore, this is really one thing. And the other thing is also, there are so many marketplaces nowadays. I mean, I just tried to find a list. A generative artist created a list from all platforms for generative art, and it's ridiculous how many these are. I mean, in total, also, and there are so many new ones. Also, Codadot, for example, it's quite a new one. I'm also really new to the Polkadot ecosystem, and to be honest, I really don't have a lot of knowledge or experience with it. But this is also hard, and also as an artist, you need to focus on, let's say, a few marketplaces. There are so many artists, they mint on every marketplace. They are here on Solana, they are here on Cardano, or I don't know, or on Tezos, and also there was now really with Solana this huge bull run on Solana. I don't even understood why, and I also minted something there, and after I minted it, I was like, why have you done it? And I mean, luckily and unfortunately, I sold one work there because I was not able to unlist and delete it, but the other works I unlisted and deleted because it felt wrong. I mean, I'm on Tezos, I'm on Ethereum, and now I'm on Polkadot. And this, I mean, it's enough. And I think this is really a hard decision at the beginning, where to mint, how to mint, because sometimes it's really complicated to even get your artwork minted. And therefore, yeah, these are all the struggles.
I can jump in there. I think that I agree. We have to make it safer. And it's super important to make it safer. And I think that, I guess, maximalism has been a big problem because it has hindered our ability to cooperate and cross-chain in a faster manner. And I think that if by this, embracing these corporations and collaborations cross-chain will make it easier for us to handle situations with stolen assets from chain to chain, um, come from find better ways to interconnect, through aggregators or whatever, all these marketplaces, because we really don't want to limit the marketplaces, because if we're going back to Web 2, we really want people to be able to have their own marketplace if they want to. What we want is for them to be able to connect to one another, so people don't have to make a choice of I have to choose which chain. I don't even understand what blockchain is, and I have to pick a chain, and it's going to be with me for the rest of my life. It's like a bad choice, a good choice. And then people invest in this, and then it becomes like you become a maximalist because you already invested so much in that one place, when we should be encouraging people to be a little bit more into experimenting and working towards connecting those different places that we're building, so then that we don't have to feel like we're trapped in one place, right? be able to solve these problems together, which is why I love this. And when Peter invited me today, I was like, of course, we need this. We have to start having these conversations, cross chain and, just having meaningful conversations that help us connect with one another and find common ground and start building the solutions together. So I do agree that we have to make it a safer place. We have to work on cross chain collaboration. And the other thing that I think that will make the space a lot better is if we start adopting a little more of a plain language attitude, where people don't have to uh, the people can understand without specialized knowledge. I think that is a huge problem in our space. We have to put a little more work into making our communications more clear, concise, and accessible, to make it so people can ask questions, so we can really, really convey all this stuff without it being like, okay, you have to be here for a while. You have to pay the price of not knowing what you're doing before you actually get it. And if you're strong enough, you'll stick around. If not, you're going to leave and never come back, until we're mainstream. Right. So I think I'll say those two for now.
Maybe I can provide a little bit different perspective, because we are talking about the individual experiences and what can be done on individual level. But I also think there is some like institutional level things to do. For example, like making business development efforts with art galleries, museums, because these places are where art really changes hands or being sold or being presented, right? And if we as an ecosystem, as Web3 in general, can make some business development efforts with these institutions, it might help the whole ecosystem, I think.
Yeah, I'll hop in here and then we can go to Paul and Felix if they have something to throw in. What should change to make the space better? There's some old tomes I have here. I've been saying for a while. We have I've always thought it'd be really nice to have like a super calendar or something. Then what ends up being, especially around the innovation funds, there's uh an announcement channel that can pulse and keeps people up to date. It's usually like a newsletter or something. And then there's somebody there's a touch point person you can go to and get something put in the newsletter, etc. And that's good for getting information across, but it's not really it's it's for bigger events, and it's not like as it, you anyway, community calendar that's subscribable. We like in uniFires, we have a calendar that in the links channel that you can go and attach it right to your Google Calendar, and then you can just turn it on and see when all the events are. If ecosystem wide version of that, I'm sure it'd be a little noisy. There are projects in Project Catalyst to build this for Cardano, but they have like browser versions and they're trying to build phone versions in like Fund 11 now, and the browser version doesn't no one's using it. So it's like there's an adoption thing as well that would need to happen for a tool like that. One that Felix Catalyst Swarm has thought about for a while was uh ecosystem map. um the like ecosystem map, so being able to like visualize the connections between the different projects and the individuals who are working on those projects. This type of I would say this would be need to be opt-in, and you wouldn't want someone else like hunting you down and doxing you essentially. But this could help people onboard and also help people build webs of trust, because there's just a little more transparency and stuff that goes on. Then oh yeah, I think it'd be cool to have like there's people. It'd be cool for there to be a designated role for someone to do onboarding. I work I work IT and have a help desk that I manage, and I sit on a knowledge base essentially in a set of systems, and I deal out help to people and do it white glove very nicely. And I think that that could be something that a community could fund to have, and it would be some type of blend between uh, a teacher and a greeter and a teacher. So they I think that Jenny does a lot of greeting people in Twitter Spaces, and there's a lot of onboarding that happens there, but she doesn't get paid for that outside. She's an ambassador, and there is some ways to get funds there. Um, but having a more formalized role and like a culture that says, oh, you can go to this group of people, hit up this email address. They will give you this set of resources. They're going to give you 30 minutes at a time at least. They're going to meet you and help you launch in the right direction. I think that would be a really cool thing to have. All right, that's it for me.
Oh, well, how are we doing on time? I'll put a couple more words out there.
Yeah, we got 5 minutes left. We can run over a little bit if anyone has
Okay.
to hop off, of
Yeah,
course.
don't
All
worry.
good.
Enjoy.
Yeah,
your
for me it's good.
Yeah, I guess I'll just echo a couple things I think I'm hearing from the group. Definitely discovery tools for people to promote products, and I think in general, and I think creative works or brands in general, I think is really a big part of what needs to be built out, so that people can access these new markets. They can seem a little disparate by I think design. It's supposed to be decentralized, but that doesn't mean it should be inaccessible or difficult to discover. So tools, I think are coming out to help with that. And the better we define, I guess, all of this, the easier it is to implement. And then also, I think it's a really good point about a need for demystifying, clarifying the technical aspects of blockchain and Web3, especially now cross-chain environments. I mean, that's becoming more common to talk about. And then while doing all of that, illustrating proper security and safety throughout while you're talking about it from square zero. And I think, I see a lot of documentation in the space. And as a technical person, it can be a little much for me. And so I think that more than anything, leading with specialized documentation for people that is not just a big old read me thing again with the table of contents, huge thing. And here you go. Can you carve out maybe, the next week to read this thing? I know you might want to read for pleasure sometime, but just forget that, that's too much. And I think that what was mentioned, ubiquitous language, nice dictionaries or things like that to refer to. You're not saying read the whole thing. Here it is. It's referred this is universal maybe for Cardano. This is universal for Cosmos or Polkadot. For people to sort of, okay, we refer to this as the ubiquitous language when someone says something. And I like myself, what I've seen in the space that works are good walkthroughs, tutorials, like those can serve as an onboarding for people when they're modular and incremental, and they kind of pull you from one place to the next. And they can have little alert, security thing. Make sure you do this next steps like X, Y, and Z, and don't do X, A, B, and C, or else you're compromising yourself. And so I find that to be nice because a lot of people learn by doing. Most people at least shore up their learning with some doing things, clicking buttons. Even as a technical person, if I can even click some buttons, I learn a little bit more. So tools, helper tools, like just simple things like, hey, you go here and let me generate a public private key pair for you. If this is a test, don't use these. Make it clear, don't use these, but this is what it looks like. Here's a public key, here's a private key. Okay, that makes sense. Simple stuff for non-technical people to help them with those things. So defining these things make them easier to implement. And that for me is on an individual level what I'm interested in is well-defined product roadmaps, project management timelines, calendars, when things are well defined, you can put them on calendars and get them done as a software engineer. But if you leave it to the software engineers to figure these things out, you're going to get things that are going to be too technical. The interfaces are not going to be as easy to use. So those are some of, I think, my points.
Thanks, Paul. It's good. Felix, you have anything to add in here
No,
to
not
what
really.
should change? What should change, man?
Not really something to add. So much good stuff already.
There's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, a lot of good points were raised. So I think we will have something to think about after.
Yeah. Well, we just went over the top of the hour. The last question we had was, what narratives make it easier for creators to join an ecosystem? We've kind of blended the
Yeah,
last two
too.
questions together, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anybody have any last thoughts, things to add?
Not really, but there is definitely a lot of education needed overall. Also for myself. I mean, I'm just scratching the surface of so many things, but the problem is I don't have the time to dive deeper into everything I'm interested in. Therefore, I need to choose my time wise because I don't have too many. I mean, I
Right.
have a 9 to 5 job. I have a pregnant wife, a kid, and yeah, I go for training 3 times a week, and that's it.
Yeah.
I'm mainly coding in the night when my wife and the baby is sleeping, and now I have a lot of other topics too. But the thing is, I enjoy it and I really like to do it. But I definitely should also dive deeper into some blockchain topics, for example. Also, I mean, at least I did some Polkadot. I read something and also some technical things about Polkadot now because of Coda. But yes, it's
Yeah, it's a process. You're
yeah.
learning every day. I mean, there are still many things that surprise me every day, and like I'm just doing some normal stuff, and I don't know how, but I will just find myself reading some hard article, like just something I didn't understood. So you're just, yeah, I mean, there is a lot of education that is necessary, not only for new users, but also for already users in the ecosystem, and also it's sometimes hard to catch up with trends, like NFTs were a big trend, but now it feels like maybe the trend is not that strong like it was before. Now we have a meme coins, and everyone is just focusing on meme coins and these things. So yeah, it's not an easy, and I think we all got in a point in the future where like being in Web3 will not feel so like weird, or like it will not feel like you're doing something special, as maybe now it may feel a little bit, but even it will be for new users something that will for them maybe be more on a daily life. So I hope we will get to that point. I think we will get to the point, but yeah, it depends on many things, maybe on also on us, like how long this process will take. Maybe our kids will be already, as a kids playing with NFTs and doing stuff in school like that. So yeah.
Yeah. Lots of educational opportunities in this ever evolving and changing space. Like, yeah, education. Well, that's adoption working group number 1. Thank you all for coming. Really appreciate the engagement. Yeah, much
Yeah.
love. And until next time, we'll probably be in contact at some point. There'll be future workshops. If this hasn't been too much bandwidth, we'd love to have you again sometime in the future.
Yeah, guys, we will be probably working on some notes after this. I don't know how much you know about like our initiative, but we are trying to put together just make the process easier for other groups that will come after us. So we will be putting together some maybe reports or these things. So and you helped us a lot with this call. For us, the goal was maybe to hear different opinions, get new insights from various people, because each one of you gave us a very good ideas. So thank you for this, guys, and we will be in touch. If you will have any questions afterward or anything, just feel free to bombard us in messages. So
For sure.
thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank
And it
you.
was lovely to meet you all now. So
Yeah, thanks
Yes.
for having me.
Nice to meet you, Thomas.
Thanks, everybody. Great to meet you.
Thanks, everyone. See you
Okay.
later.
See you,
Bye-bye.
Jeepers.
thanks.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Paul. Bye, Jenny. Bye, Felix.
Bye bye.
Bye, Linda.